Welcome to a Delco Nerd Network hot take. If you haven't seen a hot take before, well, it's where a few friends get in a basement, give our thoughts, give our opinions on a TV show, a movie, or a game. Today, it's going to be a movie, and that movie is Venom. Let there be carnage. My name is Anthony Ragucci. You can call me Gooch. And with me, as always, you know him. I hope you love him. The triple threat, Chris Trio.
Gooch, how are you feeling? I left you in a daze on Thursday night.
You really want me to start this?
And I really felt like I was worried about sending you home in the car because you just really seemed disheveled after this movie, which surprised me because I saw your Letterboxd review. Obviously, I know where I'm at. I mean, I'm not, it didn't surprise me that you didn't. Can I spoil that you didn't like this movie? I just did.
Yeah.
So that didn't surprise me at all. I'm not. By the way, I didn't really love this movie either. I'm not gonna.
Okay. So do you want me to start?
Let's hear just baseline thought. No, try to. I mean, I guess you can pretty easily avoid spoilers.
We will avoid those spoilers.
Yeah, there's only one really big
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. The rest of the movie, who cares? It's the mid-credit scene that's the spoiler. When we get to it, we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
But all right, Trio. I was gonna let you start this one, but I'll gladly take the wheel from you.
Go for it. Yeah.
This was the worst comic book movie I've ever seen in my life.
Okay.
Hands down. That is like the fucking hottest take I think ever on this podcast, that I would say something like this. And I said it Friday or Thursday night, and Trio was, what's a good word?
Flabbergasted.
Flabbergasted.
Good,
At that statement. And I was I was a little bit taken aback that I had said it. And I thought about it, and I'm like, no, this movie is bad. Horrible. Absolutely atrocious. There is nothing except that mid-credit scene that redeems this movie. There is not one single part of this movie that I enjoyed. I enjoyed one line toward the end when I was like, oh, that was cool. But everything else, nothing. Like from minute 1 to minute 92, or however long this movie was.
I think it's like 96.
Hour and a
That's
half
with credits.
of trash. Yeah, I this is like, again, going back to our Venom hot take originally. I'm like, I don't understand how people like this movie. And I
Do you know what the audience score is at on Rotten Tomatoes?
Do I want to ask?
I'll just guess.
79.
86.
Fuck all of you dumb shits who like this thing. You're going to give me shit for liking Batman v Superman? You have another thing coming, people. Another thing coming. Another thing coming. And I'm going to clip this part, and I'm going to post it on our thing, future me. You look out for this. Are you fucking for real?
I mean,
how do people like this movie?
Like, I do think that this, like, I think you wrote on your letterbox, this is the worst comic book movie ever. I think that's very inflammatory. I think there are plenty of examples of like incredibly. I think that lets those other comic book movies off the hook. That's why I don't like that
I'm trying to think of a
statement.
movie like egregiously bad where I
Fantastic Four. I'm sorry, Fan4Stick. I despise.
Yeah,
I could never watch. I would watch this movie 1,000 times. Like if you were like you have to watch one movie. I'm just saying. And I'm just saying. I think that
that's a movie nobody's gonna give any sort of like. We're not going back to.
No,
no one's talking about
that's
that.
what I mean.
You
And
know,
like because I just was curious. Like because you said this the other day, and I was like, I really was racking my brain. I'm like, there's. This overall, I just walked out of this movie kind of
and let's base this all off the first impression. I actually somewhat enjoyed that Fantastic Four movie, like not to an insane degree, but to the point where I wasn't like that upset or like, yeah, that was bad. I mean, it was like okay. You know?
I thought it was very bad, way worse than this, and that's just my example of like I think that does a disservice to the other very bad comic book movies. And I could say maybe you could make a case of modern, but I still think Fan4Stick beats it, along with like stuff like I don't know. It's funny, X-Men Apocalypse. I like the first time it came out, I was like that wasn't so bad, but more I've grown on that movie. I really don't like that movie, and I think it's a very bad comic book movie. But overall, I just think that what'd you say?
Great costumes.
Absolutely, except for Apocalypse. But yes, absolutely great costumes that you see in the last second of the movie. But overall, I just felt like this was an R-rated movie cut down to a PG-13 rating.
Absolutely wrong.
There was, I said this earlier, there was,
absolutely.
Despite the name, there's little to no carnage in this movie. When you see Carnage kill someone, he throws them against the wall. Like they're obviously dead, but you don't see them die.
You don't see.
There's one part where I felt like
anyone get it like killed.
There was one part that was
fucking
like
symbiote.
kind of interesting, but like again, it was very PG-13 for even what happened when Carnage like sticks his tongue down the dude's throat. I was like, you could have cut.
And they just cut away, and he's just
well,
like,
no, they show him like actually like they show him like convulsing and stuff like that. But like if this was like the R-rated, that tendril would come out his chest or something like that. You know what I mean? Like Cletus Cassidy in the comics is a notorious psychopath who's killed his grandmother, his mother, and all this stuff. And that's why, like, the one redeeming quality for this movie for me is Woody Harrelson and how they treat Carnage's, at least story and origin, which is very accurate and very much how Carnage becomes Carnage. But I would have loved to see Woody Harrelson go off as an art. Like, see, like, there's one part where he jumps on the counter and he kills the dude and he, like, just beats his head in, which is kind of fun. Like, I felt like Woody Harrelson was having a lot of fun in this movie. I felt like Tom Hardy was having a lot of fun. Those were my redeeming qualities, and Carnage did look amazing. But overall, no, this is not a good movie for me. And there's just parts that, like, I just don't understand what the thought. Like, that just felt cut. It really did. It felt like there were pieces of this movie missing. And, like, there wasn't, like, there was some interesting stuff where, like, you have this Venom symbiote, like, actually, like, split off. And I thought the way that they actually make Carnage is interesting, how he, like, bites Eddie and he gets a little bit of, like, the symbiote mixes with his blood. And then that's how he becomes Carnage. But they just don't do a lot with him that much as I wanted them to. And I wish they focused on that story more and, like, focused on, like, Venom talking about how Carnage was born. And he's like, there's the one part where he's like, shit, it's a red one.
What the fuck does that mean?
And then it just completely glossed over. I'm like, what is like?
What is it? What does that mean?
What is it like? It would have been cool if he's like, well, he's especially, he's younger, so he's more powerful, and because of so and so. Well, like, give me reasons as to why this symbiote's like a threat. And like Venom doesn't really seem to care about him, but for some reason Carnage wants to kill Venom. Because he's like, he does like a throwaway line of like, by the way, spoilers. I should just say that. Just I don't know how much we can really spoil, but like
there's really not.
I do like there are specific plot points I would like to talk about, but again, like I think there was good chemistry between Woody Harrelson and Tom Hardy, and like I just wish we got to spend more time with these characters going at each other. And I actually thought the action scenes were cooler, a lot cooler than the first Goop one in the first movie, where they're just fighting each other in piles of slime, and they're just punching each other. But yeah. I don't know. I I'm not as viscerally hating on this as you, but I wasn't like walking out there like, whoa, that was a good movie.
If you're watching live on Twitch.tv, thank you
very much.
Luke Kenny chimes in. Venom with a low tier flick. The Luke Kenny review on the review scale. The Luke Kenny review scale review for this.
I love it.
Is the lowest tier flick you can possibly be. I think.
Well, it's just it's just low tier.
But like it's so far down on low tier.
Did he say that, or did he just say low tier?
I mean, he's asking us, and I'm telling you.
Oh, he's asking for a review, like his high tier flick.
What?
Yeah,
you're insane.
But a flick's not. But again, I just had some like I have for it to be a low tier flick. I have to walk out of that movie and be like, I just wasted my hour and a half, and I want my $20 back. That's what it is for like I wasn't like bored, and I wasn't like sitting there, but I wasn't sitting there like bored, enthralled and like, this is compelling filmmaking and oh my god, these storylines. No, it's not what I wanted. But like again, for it to be a low tier flick, I have to be actively sitting there like, at least I think so. I'd have to be the entire time sitting there like, what am I doing in this movie? And that's
exactly what was going through my mind.
And listen, I get you, but I just feel like I've seen so like to call it like the worst comic book movie ever, especially with an audience consensus like that. You might be in the wrong, Gooch, and I might be in the wrong.
You know what? I'm in a minority with a lot of things, but
you're contrarian. I know.
I will stand by. Venom 1 is better for sure, but like
this moves at more of a clip for me.
I still thought Venom was bad. I've stood by that opinion since the beginning.
Of course.
Like everyone I talked to was like, "Oh, Venom's great." And I'm like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" Are you crazy?
I think it's Tom Hardy. Like, I really do.
Sure,
Like, I don't know why he does have this, like, he's one of the star
I think he's
powers.
terrible in this movie.
I like
Venom
him.
1, and I've said this before, Venom 1 has tarnished anything Tom Hardy could ever do for me. I liked him in Mad Max. I mean, he doesn't talk a lot, but like
Sure.
I enjoyed Mad Max a lot. I went to that movie with no expectations. Luke kind of gives you a shake my head, by the way.
Gives me a shake my head?
Yeah. Just shrugs it off.
It is what it is.
So like any movie I watch with Tom Hardy, I instantly go, Venom. Like,
I'm trying to think of a movie with like
I-
a different actor that has truly like ruined the actor for me.
I don't
And
know how.
I can't really think of one.
I don't know how you can watch this movie and go, you know what?
That was
Woody
great.
Harrelson was a really good Carnage. Like, I feel like he just like came in and like somebody who directed this?
Andy Serkis.
Yeah, like what the fuck, Andy? But Andy was like, yo, Woody, here's what I want you to do. Just be super fucking weird, okay? Just fuck the script. Just be weird, okay? All right. Like that.
But Cletus Cassidy's a weird fuck. Like,
But, like-
but again, like,
But like the story with like the symbiote and they're like disagreeing, I'm like, nah. Like that's Carnage doesn't disagree. Cletus Cassidy and Carnage are like very in line.
no,
like,
that's they are
there's
the same
no
symbiote. That's
difference
true. No,
between
they are
the two,
literally
like,
the
they-
same person. But
right.
like, so
it's
weird.
not like Venom, and I'm like,
But that's fair.
why do
I
we
mean,
have
that's
a
a fair
love
point.
interest in this? Like Shriek doesn't need to be in this movie at all. In fact, like the character is like completely idiotic.
Yeah.
The most of them, the whole movie is idiotic. Like I'm just sitting here. I'm like, this is dumb. Like they're just like this is like a romantic comedy between Venom and fucking.
It's listed as
Tom
a comedy
Hardy.
/fantasy on.
Like
on
shut the
Rotten
like comedy Venom.
But again,
like,
they could
are
do.
you
but
for real?
If they
Ugh.
if they made this R-rated, a dark comedy can work, and I do think those funny parts, at least for me, they do work. I like Tom
like that
Hardy and his
club
interplay.
scene was utter trash.
Sure, I didn't like that part either. Absolutely. And
Venom just goes to a club, stands there, looks around, goes up on stage, and said he's like out of Eddie's closet. Like, who wrote that? Who thought that was like good? Like,
I agree with you.
And and the
it's
worst
just more
part
like,
about it,
it's just such a. It's the visceral hate which I don't like. It was such just a movie to me. I was just so indifferent walking out that I can't empathize with this visceral.
maybe if there
like,
was
hate.
if there was a
Like, I don't
consensus
know.
that it wasn't good, I probably would be a lesser.
Feel vindicated?
But when people give me shit for liking Batman v Superman, and then you look at this crap, and I'm like, what weed are you
you
smoking?
feel like you're being like gaslit almost.
Like, are you fucking for real? Like, honestly, like you're gonna give me shit for liking Batman v Superman, but you like Venom. Go fuck yourself. Like, honestly, like, it's so annoying. Like, and like, even with movies I don't like that I feel like other people like, Iron Man 3. I'm not gonna like sit here and
Who likes Iron Man 3?
I don't know. I feel like there's people who like Iron Man 3.
Sure, that's
whatever,
fair,
whatever.
yeah.
But like if somebody was like, "Oh yeah, I enjoyed Iron Man 3." I'm going to go, "Yeah, it's all right." Like I wouldn't get up in arms about Iron Man 3. But like Venom is just like egregiously bad. Like there's nothing redeemable about it. But the mid-credit scene makes me so conflicted about things that I'm just sitting here and
You
I'm
know
like,
what? The
I
mid-credit
cannot
scene-
fucking believe.
My theory
I have
is
to
that
put
the
up with
mid-credit
this.
scene is the reason that this movie was not rated R.
I totally agree.
That's
with you.
like why I think because I was trying to look back and I didn't really do a lot of digging, but I really could have sworn I saw articles saying Venom, Let There Be Carnage, aiming for an R rating. And
Right. I
and
remember
I
that
feel
too.
like I
I
really
remember
remember that
that.
heavily. And
heavily.
I know I was joking. Yeah. I remember that and I was like, okay, that gives me a lot of hope. Andy Serkis at the helm gives me a lot of hope. But I would think they were like, all right, spoilers for what this mid-credit scene is. All right?
Yeah, big spoilers.
Big spoilers right now. If you're still here, your fault. Eddie somehow ends up in the MCU. Or
It's just
like he's
yeah,
sitting in a
Venom,
bed.
Show me what you got.
See,
MCU.
But I didn't. So what? It's very open ended. Like it's like Venom's like I have all this this knowledge that I can show you like all this, and which makes sense because they are like the symbiotes, hive mind, whatever. That that makes sense. And then he starts tapping, like showing him all of what he knows, and then he like phases somehow into a different universe. Now, what I don't understand is if like in the comics, the symbiotes are very weirdly like cosmic and very much like
Aliens.
Can do that like very open-ended things, but I don't think that it was Venom that directly made him switch over. I think it just happened to be a time thing, but again, they're kind of implying that it was him like accessing this knowledge that like then causes him, because I mean the idea of like different multiverses is like we're all existing on a different basically wavelength, and if you can tune yourself to that wavelength, you can then exist in that multiverse. Maybe the symbiotes can do something like that. Again, that could be a big stretch. I don't really understand what's happening, but and then Venom gives it shows fucking Tom Holland himself, Spidey-Man, on the screen, and Venom gives him an old lick. And now I'm really confident that is him in the Homecoming trailer. Because there was a leaked, not a leaked picture. There was a picture of Tom Hardy with a Far From Home stunt crew cap on.
Now makes sense.
So like that's like I think that's apps. And I really thought it was the Lizard in that trailer.
I am very scared for No Way Home. It could easily collapse under all this.
Oh, absolutely.
We're now into Spider-Man 3, Amazing Spider-Man 2 territory where there's just too much going on. And we don't even know what's actually true. And that's what's scary, because like this movie has way too many big rumors going on about it, way too much plot. And now on top of it, we're introducing Venom, one of the worst comic book characters on film, into the MCU. Are you fucking for real? So now I got to deal. I thought we were going to be done. Like realistically, I had a hunch that this mid-credit scene was this. I'm like, this is what it is. I'm like, there's no way.
Yeah, I don't really know what I thought it was. I mean, this was definitely on my mind.
Right,
but like,
I was kind of convinced, but like I wasn't convinced.
Sure.
At the same time, but now I've expressed my dislike for this film. Now I got to fucking deal with it in the MCU, which makes me really upset, because again, Venom isn't like Tom Hardy's Venom is bad. Like, I will stand by that. And like, how the fuck are they gonna like integrate this into this fucking movie? What is Venom gonna be part of like the Sinister Six? Because like it's the only thing they could be building up to.
I really
with
think
all these
he's
people.
gonna be I think he's gonna be after Far From Home. I think they're gonna do the black suit and all that stuff.
Like, what rivalry are they gonna have?
I don't know. They could. They're smart. There's smart writers.
Universe.
There's smart writers from Marvel that can figure out stuff, and like all their other Spider-Man movies have been incredibly well written. That's not something I'm concerned about. I'm concerned about if the people who are writing Venom get their hands on writing a Spider-Man movie more than anything. I agree with you though. I think there's a ton going on. I don't think it's necessarily scary that we don't know what's going on. I mean, it's just unfortunately it's
this movie is coming out in fucking 3 months.
Yeah, and that's amazing. I don't know if fucking
that's crazy.
But that's amazing. I don't know anything. All I know is rumors that I wouldn't know if I wasn't looking them up. So I mean, I would love, like Ian, my roommate. I would love to be him going into that movie and truly not knowing what's going on and not knowing any of these rumors. I do think they can get away with a lot of this, a lot of just bringing in these big names, because we already have knowledge of them from before, like your Doc Ocks, like your Green Goblins, all these characters that we've already gotten backstories in other Spider-Man movies. Now I'm curious to see how the audience that hasn't seen those movies would react to this, and that would be very curious. But I don't know, Spider-Man. I'm so excited for Spider-Man. I can't wait to see what happens. This doesn't really cause me that much cause me concern for what's after. Really, more than anything.
And great segue. I think what's after is Spider-Man. Tom Holland's Spider-Man will be pulled out of the MCU. They've already set this movie up to be like Doctor Strange casting this spell that makes everyone forget that Spider-Man is Peter Parker. So, and the trailer kind of insinuates that like, oh, like this means more than just that. I think the spell is ultimately going to write Peter Parker out of the MCU, and he will go back to Sony, and Sony will officially have full authority over Tom Holland's Spider-Man.
But I mean,
because that's why
they still do have full authority over it, though. Like they own the like they don't
clearly not, because they're making a movie.
Well, no, they would have been.
Sony is letting Marvel and Disney make a Spider-Man movie with their character.
Correct. Because
and remember, Tom Holland was out of the
you're
MCU.
I know
for
that.
Like 4
no, I know,
months.
but you're not understanding the
So
reason that they're letting.
If I'm thinking I'm Sony, I want a way to pull my character back into my hands, so we can make movies and not have to do this Marvel Disney thing.
So I see what you're saying, and I think that there's a very great possibility of that. I think they can have their cake and eat it too here, to be honest. I think what's going to happen is we're going to see these other Spider-Men. I think what Tom Holland is going to remain in the MCU because those movies make a lot of money, and those characters crossing over is a big, cool deal. And I'm sorry, Sony does fully own Spider. They could have pulled him out after that contract was over. They could still do it now. They don't. They probably signed on for one more contract or something like that. But after that, they always had full control. They could have pulled him out then and just been like and just wrote it so whatever happened.
I think that's what they're doing. They're just
but now I think they're doing
it.
it more. They could yes use this as like an actual story arc way to do so. But I think you keep Tom Holland in his own universe, and I get Spider-Man 4 or The Amazing Spider-Man 3, and you can have 2 coinciding Spider-Mans at once, and I would fucking die to see an actual legitimate follow-up to Spider-Man 3, like what Raimi wanted to do and all that stuff. And I don't think that's necessarily definitely going to happen. That's my dream. Do I think that they could take him out as a result of this? Absolutely. Do I think that's the most fiscally viable for them? No, not necessarily. But we'll see.
They're in such a conundrum.
They are. But
This whole situation has really kind of like Spider-Man is in such a weird position as a character in these movies, and it's just like at the same time, it's just like, you know, I've expressed my opinions about what I think about a Tom Holland Spider-Man. He's not my favorite, and neither are his movies. But and I just don't know what I think about all this. Like No Way Home is gonna be a fun watch for sure, but like what are they doing with Spider-Man?
But I guess like that's I hate.
What are they doing
we've been
with
trained.
Venom?
The thing that does
Because they did sequel bait another film.
Yeah, they did.
They set up Toxin.
Yeah,
which is like, okay, sure. I guess we're gonna get another one because everyone loves this. Like that for when.
What is bad? Let's have an existential crisis. What is bad and what is good? Really? What are the concepts? I don't know. Is it what everyone agrees on? Is it what you think? I'm so utterly confused because no, it's true. Like I agree with you, and I think there is legitimate merit to the idea of like, why does everyone like think these are at least great movies? Like an 86. Like I don't love to take Rotten Tomatoes aggregate because like it can be very much like
those women behind us in the theater.
They were eating it up.
I was like, these are the fucking fools. These people.
There was a woman that was
was God,
truly laughing out loud at every single joke.
And I'm like, this is
and
the
it
reason
didn't
why
feel
this
forced. Like it felt genuine laughter to me, and
right,
which was funny.
And I was every time
I felt Gooch squirm in his chair in disgust every time. But what was I saying? Fuck, I lost my train of thought. Yeah, that was really funny though. I did notice.
I was just like, this is why this movie made money. Clearly.
Oh yeah, no. So the problem I feel like with just modern film in general, and I feel like I'm not the first person to say this, but we're always so focused on what comes after this movie instead of what is happening in this movie. And I think we have the MCU to blame. Well, not blame, but like to thank for that in a lot of ways. In the way of like, I like that DC now is just kind of like, we're doing our fucking movies in whatever fucking universe we want. We're going to make good movies on that person. And that's what we're focusing on right now. And I would like to see that in the MCU. I would like to see more break-off stuff. But I mean, that is the nature of even comic books in general. I mean, Marvel made people comic book readers in a lot of ways. Like in the way of like, not even necessarily by literally reading them, but by following these movies. And even just looking at Endgame's box office, there had to be a ton of people that saw that movie that had no idea what happened in the last 18 or whatever it is. Not to say you need to see all MCU movies to see that, but you need to see at least half.
A lot.
Like 9 to 10 to really understand and to kind of, I feel like, really not even appreciate, because I feel like that sounds so like you don't even appreciate. Yeah, but just get what's happening
in that movie.
I mean, you see you see Bucky walk up with a metal arm and a raccoon, and you're like, that's fine. Like you're like, what do you mean? So like. I don't know. I want to see more of this. Like, dude, they could have made this rated R, and it could have made Joker money.
That was a huge mistake.
And like, I think what would have been an incredibly redeeming quality in this would be seeing Carnage be Carnage. And like, there was actually one part,
and we don't even get a lot of fight scenes.
We get like two. And I actually,
I mean, again,
I did find the last one was fine. Yeah.
You know, this isn't no 2-hour movie.
But again, that's what reads to me is
Fucking
this was
ridiculous.
cut down absolutely. And like they were just like, we want to put this in the MCU.
And we get
want
one
to get as
F-bomb.
many butts and seats. And it's funny because they were asking like Andy Serkis and Tom Hardy on the trail, like, yeah, why is this rated PG-13? And you could tell they were just like, you know, we just
Yeah,
felt like we
studio.
wanted to like reach a wider audience
Yeah,
with like.
fuck you.
Well, but they have to say that because they can't. They
I
can't
know,
be
but
like.
no,
I know.
Like, fuck.
Well,
off.
it's just sad because
Like, there's a reason Logan is rated R.
well, Logan and Joker and all the like,
You know?
and those movies make incredible money. I mean, Joker still that was made for like an insanely low budget too because it didn't need. But like with this, you get your CGI and stuff, so that's gonna bump it up. But like,
And
I
those
would
DC
love to see
characters
what
are
Venom Let
darker.
There Be Carnage looks like on
As
a
a
bit
rated
lesser
R.
of a budget and a rated R rating. And I think this movie could have been really, really good. And I think that there are gleams of it in there with the character choices, or I'm sorry, with like the actor choices and with one or two decisions. Like I actually kind of really enjoyed that scene of him reading his letter and it goes into that kind of animated, like showing him like killing his. It's like
remember
literally
when they
like the
explained
art
the
out of the comics.
Horcruxes in Harry Potter?
Yeah, a little
Yeah.
like I thought that was a little cool touch, and I like the idea of them sitting across the table from each other. Like, if there were things that were expounded upon in this movie,
I still don't understand why he wants Eddie Brock to interview him. I don't get it.
and that's another thing that's not explained as well. either.
Like, do you
I guess
know
the idea
he's
is
Venom
well,
or
I mean,
something? No.
well, it's
That's not blood, Eddie. That's not blood.
he also didn't realize
Shut
that
the
he was just
fuck up.
he didn't realize that he was just thrown around by black goop in his. I mean, it did happen pretty fast, but still, like, you'd be like, what the fuck just happened to me? And yeah, I don't know. Overall, I can't say I was disappointed only because I didn't have high expectations.
My bar was so low, and I was still disappointed.
like I really it was just like
Here's the one thing I did like. There's a line towards the end when Venom and Eddie are kind of having this moment. Eddie said something about them being symbiotic and like they get along and they work together. And Venom kind of says, I forget like the way the line is delivered
leads
is
up,
pretty
but then
good.
it's like we
He's
are the
like,
lethal protector. Like
yeah, and I'm like, oh.
But
okay,
again,
I
and
like
even
that.
like
I
that's
was like,
that is
cool.
one thing that bugged me narrative wise at the
But
beginning.
this
of
isn't really the Lethal Protector storyline.
No, that was technically the last one.
Yeah,
But
still cool.
but again, that movie
that's
set
it.
that movie set up Eddie at the end. Like by the end, he was kind of clean cut. He looked like he kind of had his shit together. And he's like walking down. He's like, "Listen, you can't eat people, but we're gonna save people and that stuff." But then by the time we get to the first one, or this next one, it feels like he's in the exact same place. Feels like he
Yeah,
hasn't moved on
nothing's
narratively.
changed,
Like
yeah.
nothing. It's like his apartment's still a mess. Him and Venom aren't really getting along. Which by the end of the first movie, it's insinuated that they are at that point. And I think the idea of them like kind of rubbing heads, or not rubbing heads. Knocking heads, rubbing heads, butting heads. You guys like rubbing heads? It's a lot of fun.
Jesus Christ.
But yeah, it's just weird. There was one scene directly from Upgrade in this.
Which was that?
It was when he's drawing, he's like drawing out all the stuff. Which
that
again,
was
there's some interesting ideas that like yes, Venom has like mirror or what's it called, photographic memory. He's an advanced fucking alien. I wish they stepped into more of the mythology of like what the symbiote is doing and can do, and yeah, they just don't.
This movie's bad.
High tier film. No, I'm kidding. This is good.
Don't see it. You don't see it. Again, if you've watched this, I feel like you probably have seen it.
If you like the
o-
first one, go see it because you will like it. I mean, I don't.
The mid-credit
but-
scene also makes it like a little bit worth it just to see that and just go like I remember like I literally put my hands on my face and I was like, what's happening? Like in the
Gooch
theater.
was distraught walking
I
out
was
of the
like
movie theater.
fucking utterly.
I was like, did you just get
beyond
beat up?
Belief. Like we saw some fellow Delco nerds coming out of the theater. Shout out to Matt and Mandel. If you guys are listening to this, they came in with a group, and like we saw them, and I was like a mess.
He didn't even know what to do with his stuff.
I was just like I don't even know what to say. Like they're like, is it good? And I'm like. I don't want to give you an expectation. It was bad.
I'm trying to think if there's anything I missed, but I don't believe I did. Gooch, I think that does it for us, right?
That does it.
Thank you all so much for watching with us. If you've been with us live on twitch.tv/Delco Nerd Network, we very much appreciate it. You can find this podcast anywhere podcasts are found. Just search Delco Nerd Network. We have a lot of social media pages as well. We're on all of them at Delco Nerds. We have a Facebook page. We have a Discord channel, which is a lot of fun. We don't really discuss Venom, Let There Be Carnage that much, but we'll be discussing a lot of other fun things soon
like
enough.
No Time to Die. Get
Coming up
get
next week.
ready for that hot take because that's going to be actually good.
It's going to be fun. It's, I would say this hot take was good. But
It
the
was
movie
good. The
that
movie
we
was
watched
bad.
wasn't good.
Right. Let's discuss good films.
Yeah.
Let's discuss some high-tier
High-tier films.
Yes.
Those are
which
tough to
No
find.
Time to Die will definitely be in the film category. I'm sure.
We'll see. No. All this information can be found on our website, delconerdnetwork.com. We have an email as well where you can email us your comments, questions, or concerns, delconerds@gmail.com. For Gooch, I've been Trio. Thanks for watching, guys. Stay nerdy, and we will see you next time.